I'll be presenting on self-care today. So what is self-care? Self-care is any activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. And why do we need self-care? Because if our cup is empty, we cannot pour from our cup. We have to refill our cup first. So if you want to help other people, we have to recharge ourselves first. And let's look at stress reaction. When we experience stress, our brain, part of our brain, the hypothalamus, will secrete a hormone called cortical releasing hormone to stimulate the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland will secrete adrenocorticotrophin hormone to stimulate the adrenal glands so that cortisol can be released. And cortisol is a stress hormone that is that plays a major role in causing the stress reaction. And when we are stressed, we will either fight or flight, means either fight or run away. Or sometimes maybe we can freeze also. So according to the endocrinologist Hansel, the stress reaction can be explained by this general adaptation syndrome. In the beginning phase of the stress, when the stressor occurs, there will be an alarm phase. We are like shocked by the stress. After that, we try to cope with it. We try to resist it. For example, the pandemic, when it first like occur, there's a lot of shock and fear. And then we try to cope with it. We try to cope also with the quarantine. And when we have exhausted our resources, then we will start to get fatigue, and we will enter the exhaustion phase, the phase 3. So when we are fatigued, then we may burn out. And these are the phases of burnout that can happen to us when we are stressed for a long time. And the consequences of burnout is, personally, we may have mental and physical health problem, and professionally, we may have a reduced productivity, or we may quit our job, etc. So self-care is very important. We need to recharge ourselves in order for us to be able to of service to others. And even animal need self-care. Superheroes also need self-care. So we as ordinary human being need self-care too. And you can see the difference. Before self-care, we are like different from after self-care. I think you're very well aware. And if there's no long time, there's no self-care, then we will look something like this. So if you look at the mirror, you don't look like this, then maybe you still have some amount of self-care. And some of the self-care myths, people think that self-care is an indulgence, which is wrong. Meaningful self-care means making mindful changes in patterns of thought and behavior that do not contribute to your well-being. And some people think self-care is time-consuming, which is also a myth. Self-care does not require you to take a large chunk of time from your busy day. Sometimes it can be just a few minutes. Self-care is selfish. This is also wrong. When you make time for yourself to recharge, you will be energetic and will be able to do more for yourself and those around you. So self-care is not a selfish thing. And one more fact, uh, people, some people think self-care is for the women. It is also wrong. Self-care is for everyone. It is not only for ladies. Anyone can be overstressed and overworked. And the types of self-care, you can divide it into like a physical, emotional, social, or spiritual. You can also add on others like personal, spatial, financial, and work. So there are many types of self-care. And some of the example of self-care is like live every moment, cook something yummy, sing a song, find joy in the small things, talk to a friend, go for a run, take a drive, dance, meditate, read a book, or write in your dream journal. So there are many types of self-care. And Rambling Mama say the self-care suggested is like take a walk, meditate, try yoga, paint a picture, murder someone, burn a body, and clean a crime scene. So you can see everyone has their own self-care strategy. So it doesn't mean that your self-care has to be the same as my self-care. So today I'm only going to talk about my self-care, my personal view. Self-care tip number 1, don't get married at all, because marriage can give rise to a lot of problems. And self-care tip number 2, if you have no choice but you get married already, then clean the house when your wife wants to argue with you or your husband wants to argue with you. Because when you are cleaning the house, the noise from the vacuum cleaner, all these can mask the voice from your spouse. And self-care tip number 3 is, if your wife says do what you want, under no circumstances do you do as you want. You just stand still, don't say a thing, and if you are going to breathe, do it quietly. So this is my self-care tip. Sorry, I'm just joking. Just don't follow all the tips. Okay, this is the proper self-care tips. Practice mindfulness to relieve all your stress. And after you relieve all your stress, it is very easy for you to be happy and practice happiness. And when you are happy, it is very easy for you to be kind and to bring happiness to others. So these are the 3 most important strategy of self-care from my personal point of view. So all the 3 self-care tips are written in the chapter of self-care in this book. So I take this opportunity to do some advertisement. But if you don't want to buy this book, there's another one. You can just focus on the mindfulness book. And this is a comic book drawn by my ex-medical student. This is Dr. Tong. She is the artist who draw this book. I'm going to focus on one component of the self-care tips from my personal opinion, which is practice mindfulness. How to be mindful. So all these are based on this book, The 4 Foundations of Mindfulness, in plain English. Because the original text is in Sanskrit, I don't think anyone can read. So the foundation of mindfulness, this slide shows how important of having a foundation. On the left side, there's no foundation. On the right side, there is a foundation. So this is very important. It makes a difference to have a strong foundation. So mindfulness is defined as awareness from the original text. And the brain areas that is useful for mindfulness, they are the attention network, the anterior cingulate cortex, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Those are the attention network. And of course, the insula is involved also, especially for body awareness. And the striatum is important for the reward center. So mindfulness helps us to connect to different parts of the brain, including the reward center and our fear center, amygdala. From the 4 foundations of mindfulness, we have body, feelings, mind, and thoughts. So if you want to take care of the self consists of body, feelings, mind, and as an overall mental state, and the individual thoughts. So mindfulness is a form of care. So this is one form of self-care. And why we arrange like this is because the body will, the feeling arise from the body, and the mind reacts towards the feeling, and the thoughts are the contents inside the mind. So it's like a step-by-step awareness cultivation. From the transactional model of stress and coping of Lazarus and Susan Folkman, when a stress arises, the primary appraiser is appraising the threat, appraising the stressor, and the secondary appraiser is appraising whether we can cope with the stress. And there are 2 ways to cope with the stress, especially from Susan Folkman. One is a problem-focused coping. Another one is emotion-focused coping. One, you settle the problem. Another one, you cannot settle the problem, you focus on the emotion. It's just like you want to end the pandemic, solve the problem. But if you cannot end the pandemic, then you have to take care of your emotion, take care of yourself, your body, and your mind. So mindfulness is the direct way to relieve stress and suffering, because even if the problem you cannot solve, you can still relieve your suffering despite the situation. That's why sometimes two people in the same situation, one feels stressed, one don't feel stressed. In mindfulness of the body, there are 6 exercises. We start with a breath, getting aware of our breath, because it can be used as an anchor of our attention, followed by our postures, activities, body parts, body composition, and depth. So when we practice mindfulness of the breath, we become aware of the flow of air through our nose. And from there, we observe the in and out breath as they flow in and out. And then we follow the breath all the way in and all the way out, and become aware of the whole body as we breathe in and out, so that we can come back to the present moment, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, but completely focus on the breath. And from there, we relax our whole body. So when you are practicing self-care, when you are taking care of your body, you have to not only move your body and exercise, you have to relax your body as well after your exercise. So mindful breathing gives you a method to relax your body. And then followed by mindfulness of postures. There are sitting posture, standing posture, lying down, and walking. So you have to aware of where your different body parts is, and which parts of your body is in contact with the ground or in contact with your seat. That is mindfulness of posture. So from the breath, expand to the body posture, and then expand to the activities that we carry out throughout the day, including everything that we do in the whole day, like from the left upper corner, going somewhere, returning, looking forward, looking to the side, flexing the arm, extending the arm, and wearing dress, carrying something, eating, drinking, walking, sitting, standing, sleeping, waking up, even going to the toilet when we are defecating and when we are urinating, we are fully aware. And when we are talking or when we are keeping silent and listening, we listen completely without judging and listen uh, in the present moment, not thinking about the past or future. So this is mindfulness of activities. It allows us to practice mindfulness throughout the whole day, from breathing to the posture to every activity that we carry out. If you practice mindfulness of activities correctly, you are supposed to feel nourished after the activity. For example, if you iron your clothes mindfully, after you iron your clothes, you feel you should feel refreshed. Or if you are sweeping the floor, after you sweep the floor, you should feel like very energetic if you are doing it mindfully. You should feel happier. The next mindfulness exercise of the body is mindfulness of the 32 body parts. You have to be aware of the superficial part of the body and the organs inside. And the attitude is not to get attracted to the beauty of the superficial part and get disgusted about the organs inside, but to just review it as they are without judging them, just like when we are reviewing a bag full of grains, like you have peas, millet size, red bean, rice. You review all these body parts like you review a bag full of grains. And the body parts includes the superficial part, the deep parts, the solid organs, the hollow organs, body fluid, and the excretion, so that you are aware that you are made up of many body parts. Each of them has a different function. Next, we develop awareness of our body composition. Our body is composed of many elements like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, but all these elements we cannot feel them. So in mindfulness of body composition, we describe elements in terms of earth, water, fire, and air. So these are the way we can feel our body, the solid part of our body, liquid part, the temperature, and the motion of our body, the breath. And the last exercise of mindfulness of body is mindfulness of death. That is the ultimate nature of our body. We don't have to really get scared of death or dying, because it is a normal process. Your body is made up of different organs, and these organs are made up of different elements, and when this element disintegrate or dissolve, your body will dissolve and your organ will stop function and you will die. It's a natural process. And in the mindfulness of death, there is a section on mindfulness of the decomposition of our body after we die. It looks a bit vivid and to many people, but this practice can be transforming because it gives you an idea that this our body is no different than the corpse that are decomposing after we die. So we are not someone special. When after we die, our body composes just like the nature, and our elements will go back to nature also. There's no need to be very proud of our achievement or our wealth, because after we die, we decompose anyway, like anything else. And from the body, the feeling arise, and that we can practice mindfulness of feelings to observe our feelings. And these feelings is in the context of raw feeling, the hedonic tone. Is it pleasant or is it unpleasant or is it neutral? So we try to feel all these feeling and see how this feeling affects our mind, because a lot of time the pleasant feeling we will get attached to it and we want it again and again. And if we cannot get it or when we lose it, we will suffer. And for the unpleasant feeling, we want to run away. We want to use pleasant feeling to cover the unpleasant feeling. So in a way, we are conditioned by the feelings, how our mind respond or react. They are strongly conditioned by the feeling. So if you want to be free from all this conditioning, the mindfulness of feeling can be a useful exercise. It's a crucial exercise. When we practice mindfulness of feeling, we want to feel the push inside the feeling, like the pleasant feeling push us to move towards them. The unpleasant feeling push us to run away from them. This push is our direct experience of conditionality, of how our mind reacts to feelings. It's a crucial link that we can cut off so that a feeling does not necessarily give rise to a mental reaction. Yeah, this is a crucial entry point for us to act. And in mindfulness of feeling, we also divide feeling into worldly and unworldly feeling. Worldly feelings are feelings that can harm us, even though they are pleasant superficially, but they can harm us like they can cause addiction or can cause a lot of problems later or suffering when we lose it, or the unpleasant feeling, all types of pain, or the neutral feeling, no much sensation, so we couldn't care less and we just like automatic, become automatic. But for the unworldly feelings, they are good feelings, they are ethical feelings, and they are beneficial to our well-being and the well-being of others. It's like the joy of being in the present moment. It's a pleasant feeling and it's unworldly. The joy of being in the present moment is free and it doesn't give rise to like craving or addiction. Or the joy of generosity when you help other people, that is also an unworldly pleasant feeling. Gratitude is also an unworldly pleasant feeling. Unpleasant feeling, unworldly, is like you are doing some, you are studying, and it's very unpleasant. You will study very hard, but it is for your own good in the future. So that's unpleasant, unworldly feeling. Neutral, unworldly feeling is like you are feeling very calm. It's not pleasant or unpleasant. You are very calm and you are balanced. You are not affected by all the situations. So that one also is unworldly feeling. And mindfulness of mind describe the exercise how we observe the mind reacts to feelings. And in the exercise got 8 pairs of mind. Mind with attachment, the mind which run towards pleasant feeling, the mind without attachment. So when we practice, we know whether you have the mind with attachment or not now. Are you craving for something or you are not craving for anything right now? And then mind with aversion, you want to run away from someone, from some unpleasant feeling, or mind without aversion. Or mind with autopilot is just like daydreaming or automatic kind of thinking, or without autopilot, very clear, very mindful, very aware. So we are going to talk about these three only. The rest are for advanced mindfulness practice. So the first three pairs, the mind with attachment. We observe our mind right now. Any attachment. Are we thinking about something pleasant and we want to achieve that, like craving for some food or or some addictions? And the neurobiology of attachment is very complicated, but we can call it the addiction as well. But the main center in the brain that is useful or important for this attachment is the reward center. And the reward center, you have the striatum, ventral striatum, etc., etc. And nucleus accumbens is the most important. The neurotransmitter is dopamine. So this is the happiness center, but this happiness may not be. There are some problem. It's like relate a lot about pleasure. So there's the second one is the mind with aversion. Are you angry or are you like feeling frustrated or stressed? All these are aversion. And the aversion, the neurobiology, the main center is the amygdala. The amygdala, there are two in our brain that keep all the unpleasant emotional memory. Our fear, our anger, our unhappiness, everything about threat is kept in this amygdala. So sometimes this can hijack us to respond without thinking. That's why mindfulness of the push from the amygdala is very important. And the last one, the mind with autopilot is like automatic thinking, daydreaming without any purpose. The main culprit is the default mode network. The default mode network from science, they discover when we are not doing something, not paying attention, the mind will wander. And the wandering, they are the activities in the default mode network. You are thinking about yourself or thinking about something you don't like, something you like, or creating stories in your mind. All these are the default mode network. But once you do something, you go and cut the vegetables, you go and wash the dishes, then all your automatic thinking will disappear because this will be switched off. Yeah. So in mindfulness also, the main thing that we switch off is the default mode network because the attention network will be active or the task specific network. So the default mode network is not only responsible for daydreaming, it is also responsible for the attachment thinking and the aversion thinking. And you know, when the mind is free from all this attachment, aversion, and autopilot, it's like a glass of water that all the sediments has settled down. The mind will be very, very fresh and clear, crystal clear, like a glass of water. When you practice mindfulness and when the attachment disappear temporarily, aversion disappear, or the autopilot is not there, your mind will be very clear, very fresh, not affected by any stress. Then you can use this mind to do a lot of things, either to study your mind further or to write some research paper or whatever. And the last mindfulness is mindfulness of thoughts. A lot of time we are lost in thoughts and the automaticity, the stories, the content. So there are this train of thoughts, and suddenly we think, and these thoughts we believe them as a fact. But when you practice mindfulness of thoughts, you're able to step back from your train of thoughts, come down from the train, and watch the train without getting affected. For example, the train of thoughts can be, I'm lousy, I'm giving a lousy presentation. On that one, when I come down from the train, then I'm just watching the thoughts run. I'm not getting lost and producing further this kind of negative thoughts. Yeah, so mindfulness of thought help us to awaken from our thoughts. And the there are many, there are altogether 5 exercises, but I'll just briefly describe 2 types of thoughts. One is mindfulness of hindrances. That means those thoughts that hinder our mindfulness practice and progress. And mindfulness of awakening factors. The factors in our mind that help us to come out from our automatic pilot. The others, I won't go into it. Those are advanced mindfulness practice that help us to get rid of our subconscious habits or automatic habits, sometimes even permanently. So for the mindfulness of 5 hindrance, we check our mind, any desire or not, attachment, any thoughts about attachment, any anger or thoughts of aversion, any sloth and torpor, which means where the thoughts are very sluggish, like very dull or very bored, feeling very bored, lazy or drowsy. That is like the when our mind is like very drowsy. Then restlessness and worry means we have too many thoughts running very fast, racing, like very restless, very worried. All these will hinder our mindfulness progress. And doubt are the doubtful thoughts, like, am I practicing correctly? Is it really going to be useful? All these thoughts, when they come out, they block your progress. You have to leave it aside first. After your mindfulness exercise, then only you ask whether you are doing the right way. During the exercise, all these are hindrances. So you have to be aware of the hindrances, how they arise, how they can be removed, and how you can prevent them from arising again, so that your mind is clear all the time. It's got clarity, free from hindrances, clear like the glass of water. So as you can see, when you have a desire thought during your mindfulness exercise, your mind is like color by the dye. It's very colorful. You cannot see your thoughts clearly. And if you are angry, the amygdala will hijack your mind. It's like boiling with anger. You cannot think, and you will do something that will hurt people or hurt yourself. Or if you are sloth and torpor, your mind very sluggish, like producing slime already. And if you are restlessness and worry, it's like your mind is ripple, like you cannot really see the water. And if a lot of doubt, it's like a glass of water put into a dark room. You cannot see your mind also. But once you remove all these hindrances from your mind temporarily, your mind will be crystal clear, able to reflect everything as they are, like in the center. So when we practice mindfulness of hindrances, we are aware whether there's presence of any of these hindrances. And the ways we awaken from our hindrances is the way we awaken from our thoughts. Suddenly we know that we are thinking like this or we are drowsy. They need the help of these awakening factors. It starts with mindfulness, becoming aware. We are aware, oh, I'm aware I'm angry. And then I investigate why am I angry? What caused the anger to arise? What caused it to go away? So I investigate and what prevent it from coming again. And then I apply energy to remove the hindrances from the mind and to prevent it from arising. After I remove the hindrances, I will feel joy because I come back to the present moment already and I'm practicing mindfulness. And when I feel joy, after a while, my mind will calm down, tranquility. And when my mind calm down, it becomes very focused, very concentrated, and it becomes very balanced, not affected. You can be talking to someone who is very angry, but you find yourself very balanced. You are practicing mindfulness, very balanced, not affected by the anger. You are able to see the situation clearly, to see how to respond and how to help this angry person. So all these are the awakening factors. In practicing mindfulness, we observe whether presence of any of these factor or whether is it absent. If it's absent, we investigate how to make it arise, how to make ourselves mindful, how to make ourselves investigate energy, enjoy all this, and how to make these factors stay as long as we can so that we are not affected by the stream of thoughts, the automatic thoughts. So they help us to awaken us from our hindrances. And these awakening factors in the psychological terms, they are called metacognitive awareness. They are like above your thoughts, the awareness above your thoughts. So you're able to observe the thoughts without getting lost in it or decentering. You're able to observe your thoughts and feeling as temporary objective mental event. Diffusion. Instead of getting very heated with the thoughts or getting very involved in the craving thoughts, you're able to observe them and diffuse their power and reperception. You're able to disidentify or let go from the contents of consciousness and let go of all these judgment, thoughts, and feelings and view your moment to moment experience with a mindful mind, with great clarity and objectivity. And in the mindfulness program, the mindfulness of 7 awakening factors, they change it to rain meditation, and they only make use of 3 awakening factors. The R stand for mindful, recognize, which is mindfulness. You recognize what is going on when you're having a hindrance or when you're having stress, and you allow the experience to be there and come and go, and you investigate with curiosity, with kindness, how to remove them. And the last one is the balance, the disidentification. You no longer identify with it. You become very equanimous, equipoise. So you are very balanced, not affected by it. Don't identify and not react towards it. So you will see 3 awakening factors already can be used to remove stress and hindrances from our mind. So if you use all the 7 awakening factors, the result will be different.